What does everybody want? Well, we all know the answer, but you're on your own with that quest, pal. However, if you want to hear our classic 2004 interview with Al Snow, conducted by James Walsh, you've come to the right place. We included the after-show chat as well. So, stay tuned and listen in. If you like what you hear, give us a like and leave a comment. And consider subscribing to the Wrestling Epicenter channel. It really helps. And now, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Interactive Interview on theInteractiveInterview.com. This is James Walsh with our special guest, Al Snow. Al, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fantastic. It's great to have you on. We just had you do a header for us, and you mentioned that you're doing the $1 Million Tough Enough right now. First question for you is, how are you enjoying doing the training work on the new Tough Enough?
Well, I always enjoy it. I always, enjoy working with the guys and doing the training. It's something that I look forward to, and really think that it's going to be my legacy in this business.
I know that you're not really involved in picking the winners, but is there anybody that you're personally enjoying at this time?
There's several. Out of the 8, there was one. Unfortunately, he was the first one that got cut. It was a leading favorite of mine as far as personality, charisma, and in-ring ability, but the audience really didn't a chance to see that, and the audience eliminated it.
We usually go in a timely manner, a chronological order, so let me ask you this question. Were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Absolutely. I was a wrestling fan as a small child. The original Sheik, Ed Farhat, had its territory in Ohio and Indiana and Michigan, parts of Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and I grew up watching that. And then when he went out of business, then Ted Turner's organization came in, and it was Georgia Championship Wrestling when it first came back on the air.
Yep.
And I fell in love with it again immediately. And that's what made me decide that's what I wanted to do for a living.
Well, earlier on, you were a martial arts expert. How did that result in you becoming, I know you just told us what got you involved, but how did that result in you deciding to get trained in wrestling?
Oh, the martial arts training and stuff had nothing to wrestling. I mean, I literally saw wrestling and just immediately fell in love with it and made that decision consciously that was what I wanted to do.
Okay. Early in your career, you worked for MCW, which I guess was Midwest Championship Wrestling. How did you enjoy your time in that territory?
It was a great starting point in my career. The guy who operated the Midwest Championship Wrestling was also the guy who trained me, and it's a good learning ground.
I probably should know this, but what was that guy's name?
Jim Lancaster. He was his real name was Jim Painter. He performed as Jim Lancaster, Smasher Stone. He was kind of a journeyman. The wrestling business had been working for probably 10 or 12 years when I met him, and at that time, and then convinced him or begged him to train me, take me under his wing, and be responsible for me.
In 1994, you defeated Dan the Beast Severn to win the GWA championship. How did you enjoy working for Dan the Beast Severn? Working against Dan the Beast Severn, sorry.
Well, I had trained Dan Severn for professional wrestling, and then I also trained Dan for the first Ultimate Fight that he was involved in, the UFC 4. And getting the chance to work with Dan in the ring, it was a teacher-student type of situation. And we've worked several times before that and several times since. And it was always fun. It was fun to get in there with him. He has a little bit of an unusual or unique style. And it was fun to see if I could help him to adapt to the pro wrestling style and see if I could adapt to his style.
Did you think that he was going to make it into WWE?
I thought that he had the potential. I certainly, felt that he had a marketing niche that could allow him to have a unique gimmick or character that would allow him to, maybe find a spot there. But I didn't know if he could adapt enough to the WWE style to survive once he got there.
Mm-hmm. Of course, when you won that title, I didn't mention this, but you were wrestling under the name of Shinobi. Where did the Shinobi character come from?
The Shinobi character was basically when I was running my training school. I wanted to, if we went to a place where there was a particular student's hometown, then I had adopted the Shinobi character to go and work with the students in their hometown, make sure I could carry them, make sure they had a really good match, looked really good in front of their hometown friends and family, and then have them beat me. Mm-hmm. And then I could come back out and work on the show in a regular match or two where I was needed. And so in order to do that, what I did was I literally adopted completely different mannerisms. I tried to move differently so that people wouldn't suspect that it was me who was under the hood and Shinobi. And that way I could be two complete different personalities.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. They used to do that way back in Mid-South, Honky Tonk Man used to say. So,
yeah, and really what had happened was that it started out in that vein of just, going and utilizing it to help the students. And it became so popular that I started getting booked more as Shinobi than I did as Al Snow.
In 1995, you finally signed a contract with the WWF. Was this a lifelong dream come true?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in 1995, it just was an incredible year because I had, had been working for so hard for so long. And then, right before that, I had went to, go to UFC with Dan. I went to Japan for Kitao Dojo, and then I started working for ECW the first time through, and then, went to work for Fournette and Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and then, off the notoriety I had gained working there, and WCW asked me for a tryout match, and then WWF, ultimately offering me a contract.
That's right.
It was like it was everything that I had worked for basically 13 and a half years.
That's right. You just mentioned Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I remember you teamed with Unabomb, who's now is Kane. How do you get along with Kane?
He's a great guy. He's very intelligent and very personable, and just a wonderful person.
That's cool. That's cool. Here's another one of those who came up with his character gimmicks, but who came up with Avatar?
Avatar was Vince McMahon's idea. And it just, I guess the timing was wrong. I think what he was searching for or was hoping for was something along the lines of what Hurricane had. But it just, situation and timing and everything, it just wasn't the right thing at the right time. And not to mention that I'd spent the last almost nearly 14 years working as a heel in the business. And, and right before that, it had just had a run as a smart-ass chicken shit heel that, I got over by talking, being a coward. And now all of a sudden I just go out there and be a superhero. Just it was a bit of a departure, and, the timing was off because they were supposed to do, when they originally discussed it, Vince and I, that I was going to do these vignettes to explain the character to the public, the audience, before I arrived. Those weren't done. I was just put on TV and had literally just gotten the outfit finished like a week before, and I really couldn't see out of it. And there was just a lot of, it just wasn't the right time.
So I take it that wasn't your favorite time in the business?
No, it was pretty frustrating. I'd worked my entire career to get to that point, and then, that character didn't really work, and so I ended up sitting home for about 8 or 9 months. And, very difficult to get this business to work because that's what you want to do. And, I wasn't making any money because at that time, they didn't have downside guarantees. It was, you only worked if you got paid. And it was a very tough time. Very, very, very tough. And I wanted it so bad that sometimes my passion and my frustration and my desire ended up making me cut my nose off to spite my own face.
Right.
And ruining some of the opportunities that I did end up getting shortly thereafter.
RSBH123 is a member of our forums. He just wants to ask a question here. Is when you joined or were paired with Marty Jannetty as the new Rockers, did you feel that there was a lot to live up to compete with the old Rockers?
Not really. I mean, I wanted to. It was going to be our own team, and it was going to be in a new direction, and so I wasn't really looking to necessarily compete with the old Rockers. And it might sound a little bit arrogant of me, but at the time I felt that I could have that we could gel, that Marty and I could have been just as good. Just as long as you're in there with the right opponents.
Do you feel the tag team has ever given the proper opportunity?
You mean as the new Rockers was given the proper opportunity?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think it was given opportunities, but I don't think that it was ever intended to be a main attraction or be brought up to a certain level in the first place. Not to mention that Marty really didn't put his heart into it or really wanted to pursue it. And also my, like I said, they're cutting my nose off to spite my own face a couple of times. I'm sure it didn't help either. You eventually ended up in ECW, and the question I've always had about that time period, which really intrigued me, was were you still under WWE contract at the time? Yes, I was.
So it was kind of a talent swap?
In a way. I mean, it was a situation where I was very frustrated with my position in WWF, and to the point to where I asked for my release. And WWF had an option to roll over my contract for a third year, which they did. They took that action, and I basically wanted to quit, and they wouldn't let me. So at that time, they had a working agreement with Paul Heyman, and I basically begged Paul Heyman to allow me to go to work there, because I knew that if I stayed in WWF, my situation was not going to improve. And I knew that I needed to go somewhere else to get myself over, so that either ECW would pay to keep me, WCW would pay to steal me, or WWF would pay to get me back. And create a circumstance or situation where I could do that. And so that was what I did. I begged up Paul Heyman, and at the time, a good friend of mine, Chris Candido, was like Paul's right-hand man. And Chris was instrumental in talking Paul into talking to Vince. And basically, I was still under contract to WWF, but I wasn't getting paid by them. I was getting paid by Paul. And I went and worked for Paul.
And what you mentioned, the three options that you wanted to have happen out of that was to get brought back to the WWF, which eventually did happen. And a lot of people credit that to the head character. Where did the idea to bring the mannequin head to the ring come from?
Well, where it came from was I had started doing is just I was about to leave WWF. I was trying to do things that showed that I was having a nervous breakdown. But the frustration was finally starting to wear on me to the point where I was, cracking.
Right.
Losing my touch with reality. I figured that was a logical progression for the character. One, because Leif Cassidy, if anybody was that happy, he had to be insane. And two, if anybody knew my circumstances, they would understand that if you pursued something as hard as I had for that many years and never really met with the success I wanted, eventually you're going to go crazy.
Right.
And, I did different things to manifest that in the ring, to kind of show it, demonstrate it, and never really quite getting it across. And one night I came back to ECW Arena and came backstage. We were taking some pictures with for the Japanese magazine with Sasuke and some other Japanese wrestlers, and I saw a styrofoam head there, and I picked it up and started taking pictures with it. And I remember Mick Foley and Sid Vicious and Bob Holly and I were all traveling in the car one night, and Mick had a styrofoam head that he kept his Mankind mask on, and he was kind of joking around a little bit and acting like, it was his girlfriend, and he was calling it Elaine. But he wasn't really talking to it as much as he was just saying that it was his girlfriend, and he was going to take it back to the hotel room and goofy stuff like that.
Mm.
And so I thought, I'd been talking to myself in the ring and that wasn't really working. And I thought, well, I'm going to carry this out and I'm going to start talking to it as if it's a real person. And I kept doing it. And, just kept doing it. And at the time, Paul just, he'd say, I hate your manager, I don't get it, blah, blah, blah. And then, of all places, one night in Stamford, Connecticut, we were doing a Halloween show. Paul came up to me and goes, you're going to be the next cult babyface. And I said, whatever. And it just, once, it took off from there. And, I owe Paul a lot for allowing me just the freedom to do it. And then until he caught on to it. And then and once he caught on to it, got with it, it just went up and took off.
Were you surprised it caught on as well as it did?
I don't know if I was surprised. I still don't quite understand it. Why people seem to relate to it so much. But it was. I think it really did catch on, and I think the reason it did was because people could believe. I mean, if you were to ask 9 out of 10 people until the Tough Enough series came out, if I were really insane, they would say yes. I was really legitimately crazy, and I think that's because to a certain extent I felt crazy, I had all this frustration and all this passion and all this desire build up in me, and dealing with that head and directing a lot of my anger and a lot of my frustration and bitterness out on that head in the promos and stuff. I think it came across very real and believable because it was. I mean, I made a lot of statements about how frustrated I was in those promos.
Absolutely. At WrestlePalooza, you wrestled Shane Douglas for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, we interviewed Shane Douglas, and he says he still to this day doesn't really know why they had him go over. Could you shed any light on that?
I have no idea. I know that, I think the fans wanted to see me win. I think that, I'm not saying it from a bragging standpoint, but I think that I was over enough that it would have been good business to have had me win and to go over. And then, if nothing else, just the following week on TV, just have Taz beat me for the title.
Right.
I've never understood it. I don't worry about it. It doesn't consume my waking days, waking hours, wondering about it. But I've still been very, curious as to what exactly took place and as to what was Foley's thinking behind it. Because I just think it would have been a smarter move, in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, because he was so injured at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe it was Paulie's way of swerving the audience because, it's well known that Shane was legitimately injured, and so they just assumed that automatically I was going to get the belt. And so it was a way to swerve everybody. And if I had stayed in ECW, maybe, down the road, it would have been my opportunity to have won the belt, and then it would have meant a lot more,
Yeah.
I would have been somebody healthy, and, but I always make a joke that night at WrestlePalooza I became Dr. Sam Shepard because I couldn't defeat the one-armed man. I became the fugitive.
Yeah. Good point.
And for those of you out there that don't know who Dr. Sam Shepard is, he's the doctor what the story in the film and the TV show called The Fugitive is based on.
Right. Went the movie.
In the movie, and who actually did end up becoming a professional wrestler of his own, and was the first person who invented the mandible claw that Mick Foley used as Mankind, and then again as Mick Foley with Socko.
Well, I did not know the last part of that. That's pretty interesting. I did not know he became a wrestler. That's pretty cool.
He did. That's where the mandible claw came from.
Ah. So they eventually did bring you back to the WWF. Were you relieved to be brought back there, or were you still skeptical about the way you might be used?
I guess I was still skeptical. I still was having a lot of that remaining bitterness and everything. It's very hard to get rid of that, to let it go.
Right.
And I realized that for me, and my sake, it was probably best to let it go because I had sabotaged when I look back and I think about it, I mean, I sabotaged myself in a lot of ways because of letting it control me so much and you know, drive me, and to the point to where I can think back to having conversations and, you know, with people, key people, and in that frustration and bitterness that came through, and, you know, probably made them go, well, yeah, screw this, you know, we're not going to do this with him, we're not going to do that with him. And when I think they were hoping that I would have, you know, if I'd just said the right thing or acted the right way, I think I would have had a lot more success at that time in my career. But, you know, things happen for a reason.
Right.
All the way they fall. And, you know, you do what you have to do. So.
Were you happy, or did you enjoy your feud with Jerry Lawler and Too Much or Too Cool or whatever you want to call him?
You know, I didn't. I did, but I didn't, because it was again another. I still wasn't quite in the right frame of mind, and they, you know, Vince, since it wasn't his idea, didn't really understand or relate to the gimmick.
Right.
To the gimmick, since it wasn't his. So, you know, it was good, but in a way it wasn't, because you know, again, here I come off from another company where I was a big fish in a little pond.
Right.
And I come up there, and, you know, I'm a little fish in a big pond. And,
right.
You know, and it's hard to change gears and realize that you've got to start over again. You know? So, again, I don't think I was in a proper frame of mind or proper place mentally to really enjoy it.
What was your take on the Job Squad?
Well, the Job Squad was started as a joke, and you know, catering. I made jokes about it, and I told people in ECW, and they insisted I sell T-shirts, and, you know, and it became a wrestling angle. And you know, my idea of doing the wrestling angle, and which probably really, you know, would have been done, but you know, the way it was, the Job Squad was, you know, we were jobbers, and they were basically saying we were. My suggestion was that, you know, that frustration be played out on TV, and start seeing guys go out there, and you know, and it's through behavior, not necessarily statements, but behavior. You can tell that, you know, Bob Holly and Tupelo Scorpio are wrestling two guys, and the two guys are supposed to win, and then all of a sudden, Bob Holly and Tupelo Scorpio took them and roll them up 1, 2, 3 and roll out. You know, we start rebelling against the norm, because we're tired of just beat. But that, you know, just you're skirting that line of
reality and
suspension of disbelief.
Right, absolutely. Do you ever think that line has been crossed in wrestling?
Well, I think it has in some ways, but you know what? I mean, fans are so sophisticated this day that, you know, they understand that it's not a competitive situation.
Right.
It's like when you go to watch a movie.
Right.
You know that Spider-Man's not real. He doesn't swing from buildings. He doesn't actually exist.
Right.
But you can suspend your disbelief and get drawn into the story and enjoy it for what it is. The same as magic. I mean, David Copperfield does not actually make the Statue of Liberty disappear. But he's so good that you can suspend your disbelief while you're being there, and you can be entertained. And that's the same with wrestling. It's no different. I mean, you know, what we do is all very real. It's all very physical. It all actually does happen. And all of it hurts. But it's not a competitive situation. And but if you can, you know, if you're really good and can do it at a certain level, people can suspend their disbelief and can get drawn into the story and watch it.
Question coming in from our forums again is, this one's from Game Time. He'd like to know if you feel the hardcore division was used properly, and do you think the hardcore division could still be useful in the WWE today?
Well, I think that the hardcore division started to get a little bastardized towards the end. You know, it was got kind of misdirected, but I think that it could still be used, you know, today. I think that it's, you know, it should be a case where, you know, those kind of matches are limited, though. You know, and if they had a hardcore belt, that the usage and defense of it be limited. to only a couple, times a month or something on TV or, on a pay-per-view, simply because the abuse that you would take in that kind of a match, suspension of disbelief would be far greater than a regular match, and if that were the case, then of course you're going to need a lot larger amount of time to recover for the next one.
That makes perfect sense. Here's a bit of a downer question coming in. It's you work with the Big Boss Man at Unforgiven 1999. Do you have any memories of Ray Traylor?
Ray Traylor was just a wonderful human being. He was a really terrific guy. It's sad. It's really a shame that he had such an untimely death. He had two beautiful children that are going to miss out on having such an incredible father. That's what's really sad.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a bit of a goofy question coming in here now. For a time with your feud with the Brood, it seemed like the head changed its appearance a little bit from help me to fear me. Why was the change so quick? I know that's really a weird question.
Well, it wasn't so quick as much as when that occurred. It was I was kind of doing things. I'd always had a plan because I had several heads with different looks.
Right.
And it had always been my idea that I would start to bring them out at some point with representing different personalities that the head had. So the reason I brought that one out was because of the fact that they had given me a bloodbath the week before or whatever, and I was trying to show that I had been thrown even further over the edge.
Right.
And that's why it happened kind of quick, and then it just kind of disappeared because Vince didn't like the look of it. It was pretty ugly. I made it look pretty nasty.
Yeah, I remember it. Question here from another forum member would like to know how you enjoyed your team with Steve Blackman.
I enjoyed the stuff that I did with Steve Blackman immensely. I thought that the things that we did outside the ring were some of the best stuff that I had done. In the ring, we just didn't click. It was just, we were on different pages. I mean, Steve's a great guy, but we just didn't click in the ring. Outside of the ring, gosh, it was perfect. It got to the point when our vignettes were on, at that little time that we were on, the ratings would pop up. Because we almost had a show within a show.
Yeah, it was good comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question here from another forum member would like to know, given Maven's somewhat main event push of late, how do you feel any pride seeing how well he's doing these days?
Well, absolutely. I mean, Maven is one of the guys, that carry on and will be my legacy or immortality in this business. Is something that I've given back to this business. So what anybody says or, what comments or opinions they want to make, Maven carries my mark on it. And his success is a boon to me. His failure would be just as much a detriment to me. I take that very seriously. It's the way that I was trained. That's why I call them my kids, is because the guy who trained me called me his kid, because that's how I'm referred to in this business, as Jim Lancaster's kid. The old-timers who were around before Jim call him up, they'll see me on TV, and, hey, I see your kid doing this, I see your kid doing that. He's still, to this day, he gets the phone calls. He's still responsible. And, I still feel very much responsible for the success or failure of Maven and all the others. Because I'm the one who built them. I'm the one who trained them. I'm the one who impressed upon them what it was they wanted to learn and where they wanted to go with it.
I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but is there anybody that did not reach the success that you hoped they would, that you trained?
No, not really. I mean, there are lots of guys that I wish nothing but the best for. I wish that, but there's a lot of circumstances in this business. Guys that can be incredibly talented, have a ton of charisma and size, and everything, and just it's just not the right time. It's just not timing, or they sabotage themselves. And So it's hard to say that there's one person that you could say, that should have been, or I expected to have much greater success. I'm disappointed that they did.
Right. In 2001, of course, WCW and ECW folded within months of themselves. Were you, as an insider of the business, surprised to see this happen?
I was disappointed.
Hmm.
A little concerned because this business, any business, thrives on competition. I think Vince McMahon thrives on competition.
Hmm.
And was I surprised? I don't. I guess I wasn't necessarily surprised with ECW, especially with everything that was coming out of there. As it was a smaller company. But WCW, I was a bit shocked to take it back.
Hmm.
But I think that was just inevitable. I mean, the inmates were running the asylum to a certain extent, and WCW was just the bastard stepchild of, at that time, Time Warner, and Turner Broadcasting. And
Right.
of course, wrestling, period, is the bastard stepchild of any entertainment. When it's being the parent company isn't a wrestling company, it's more of a entertainment company that they feel that that wrestling's more a sideshow attraction than anything else, and so they probably figured it was a black eye.
Right.
Could have been something else,
Hmm.
some other type of business. I think that it would probably still be around in spite of financial losses until it turned around.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Next question I have for you, and we're coming to the end, so don't worry, I'm not going to keep you too much longer, is Tommy Dreamer. You've had a few matches with Tommy Dreamer, and of course you teamed with him quite a bit. How do you get along with Tommy?
Tommy's a great guy. He really is. Tommy's one of the better people in this business. He's a hard worker. He sacrifices his body, his personal life, everything. He's really awesome.
All the way back to the promo, you mentioned that you're the host of Sunday Night Heat. How do you enjoy doing color commentary, and once you're officially retired from the ring, is that what you still want to do in this business?
I really enjoy doing the color commentary. It's got its own challenges. It's different. It's unique. And it's not as easy as a lot of people think it is. That's for sure. I found that out real fast. And found it out the hard way. But I don't know what I'll do once it gets to the point where I'm completely retired and I'm no longer performing in the ring to any degree or another. I really don't know, because I've been doing this for 22 years. I've been doing this my entire adult life. And it's all I'm looking to do. And, if I'm lucky enough to I guess, commentate or train, then, and still be affiliated with the business, then, thank God, because I really don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
That's interesting to hear. They did a feud with you last year where you teamed with Jonathan Coachman against Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler. How did you enjoy that feud?
Oh, I enjoyed it a lot. I was happy to be a part of it. And, it just made sense at the time.
Yeah, I guess so. On the Indies, you seem to be working quite a bit as well. I read the match that you just wrestled Chris Candido recently, who you mentioned was your friend, and I know that you wrestled Marty Jannetty earlier in the year. How do you enjoy the Indies, and what exactly is your availability for any bookers that might be listening to this?
I'm, very available as far as availability. I mean, right now at the moment, since I'm doing Tough Enough, I can only take bookings primarily on the East Coast that are within driving distance of Connecticut because of my responsibilities to Tough Enough, because I'm there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But as far as, in the future, I'm always available, and I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy getting out there, and it gives, I have the freedom to work as long as I want, or, to really work, to feel what the audience wants, and if the audience is there, I'll go 45 minutes, I'll go an hour, and I'll go hard too. And if the audience isn't there, I'll go whatever the audience wants me to go. I think that people that come and watch me know that I'm not a walker and a talker. I take great pride in going out there and working really hard, and I work really hard, whether it's um, 5 people in the audience or 5,000. It makes no difference to me. Those 5 or 5,000 are going to get the money's worth. And pretty low maintenance. Pretty proud of the fact that I'm low maintenance. I show up, I'll dress with everybody else, treat everybody with respect, and I try to help the promoters out by doing a few promos or interviews for them when they call and request it, when and where I can, and really try to work with them.
I actually got an email question here from Marty Jannetty, believe it or not. He asked me to ask you any questions regarding ribs, and he mentioned something about rap music and a pool. I don't know exactly what he's referring to.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Marty Jannetty, we had him on the show recently, and I spoke to him, and he asked me to ask you this question via email. He said, ask you your favorite ribs, and he mentions one involving a pool and rap music. I don't know what that means.
Pool and rap. Well, it's hard to tell with Marty because when I used to travel with Marty, it was like, honest to God, it was like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom. I never knew what was going to happen.
Right.
I really never knew. He was always doing something. In fact, he referred to me as his amusement toy because he just, every time I turn around, I walk in the hotel room and he had the whole place booby-trapped. And you know, in the car, he was constantly doing stuff. And I remember, you know, one time we were going to Green Bay, I think it was Wisconsin, from Milwaukee or something. I was trying to get him back, so I, you know, just a goofy little rib. I bought a condom, and stuck it on the outside of the bathroom door at a gas station, figuring that, you know, he'd have to try and open the bathroom door.
Right.
Stuck it on the doorknob. Well, you know, of course, unfortunately, a guy gets to it before him and takes it off. He doesn't have to bother with it, touching it or anything like that. Well, I don't know it, but he gets back in the car and doesn't say anything about it. I ask him about it. He tells me the other guy found it. Well, then he keeps it in his pocket. Then he bumps into me when we get out of the car there at the building and sticks it in my back pocket to where it's hanging out and then lets me walk around the building for about an hour with rubber hanging. So, he was really good. He was very creative.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the pool and the rap music. It's hard to, honest to God, I mean, there's so many I can't remember. I know that the last rib that we did, though, was either Davey Boy or Owen Hart had padlocked a pair of Marty's tights. Literally put a padlock on them the way he could wear it. And he was pretty, you know, it took him like 3 weeks to get the thing off of there. And we were in upstate New York for, I don't know how many, like 5 or 7 days or 8 days. He would go to the grocery store and buy food and keep it in the hotel room. He bought this peel and eat shrimp. He kept the brine for about 4 days until we finally went to, I think it was Portland, Maine, or Fangor, Maine. It was the last day on the tour. And he kept this brine to where it smelled horrible in the hotel room. And we got to the building, and Davey and Owen knew something was up, and we went and bring the bags. And finally, bought the bags and went to the ring to work. I stood lookout, and so did Mike Yoda. Marty poured the brine into Davey's suitcase, and Davey came back and assumed Owen had done it, and poured it into Owen's suitcase. So, not to mention all the other things that Marty did to Davey between that time, but he wanted to get into that.
Yeah, I know. He told us quite a bit of his rib stories when we did the interview with him. That was quite honestly, he might not be the biggest star ever, and we've had everybody from Flair to Sting to Savage on the show, but his completely dominates the downloads on our show because we keep track of it, because his ribs were just so hysterical that everybody just wanted to hear them.
Oh my God, you have no idea. The guy, if you left him alone and let him get bored for more than 5 minutes, I mean, his mind just worked like that. He immediately started looking for ways to create or get into trouble. And he was good. He was really good. But I have to say, I think the best rib that I've pulled, and I think anybody else has pulled to this date, is when I was doing the pepper angle, and I put Val Venus' cell phone number on TV.
I did not even know that. So you put his phone number on TV?
Yeah, they asked me to, Vince Russo came to me, and when they kidnapped Pepper, and asked me to make a lost and found poster, or a lost poster. So I made a poster, and of course they always have a phone number at the bottom.
Right.
So I got Venus' cell phone, took his phone number, put it on the bottom of the thing. It was for Sunday Night Heat, and I didn't hit the camera crew or anything to it. I just showed it, and we were in Philadelphia, and they had a monitor. We were in Philadelphia Crowd Show, they had a monitor backstage, and Sunday Night Heat came on, and that came on, and I went, uh-oh, out of the room. And that night, about 5 minutes after the segment aired, Val got like a phone call, asking about the dog, and his mom bred dogs. So he said, oh, you got the wrong number, He didn't even think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the next night, Vince Russo comes up to me and he goes, hey, I want you to do it again. I said, fine. So I put Val Venus' phone number on it again on Raw, and I told the camera guy, I said, when I point to this phone number, zoom in. And I said, so I kept saying, oh, I'm really heartbroken. I need to find Pepper. Call me if you find it. When I say call me, the camera would zoom in on the phone number.
Right.
Back out. He'd pull back out, and I would talk. Please help me find my dog. Call me.
Right.
And then again. That night, Val got probably thousands of phone calls to the point to where it overloaded his phone, overloaded his pager, and it just kept ringing one after another all night to where the next day he had to change phone.
Was he angry with you about this?
Oh no, Val's a terrific guy, and he just he took it all in good stride. But he's yet to ever go.
All right. Do you mind if we close out with a few word associations? If you want to give us a story, that's fine. If you just have a one-word answer, that's fine too. Whichever you want to do.
I'll try.
First name on the list is Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman, evil genius.
Evil genius. That's a good one. Mick Foley.
Many faces.
Jim Ross.
Workaholic.
Shane Douglas.
Frustrated. Tried one time. I don't know if you did one.
Lance Storm.
Solid.
What was that?
Solid.
Ah, yeah. How about, I'll give them one at a time. Chris Candido.
Absolute love for the business.
How about Tammy Sitch?
Chris's sweetheart.
Let's thinking. How about Too Cold Scorpio?
Physically gifted.
And I guess there's only...
You'd understand why.
What'd you say?
As if you've seen him naked, you'd understand why. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Not just in the ring, but go ahead.
Okay, and the last one I have for you is Vince McMahon.
True leader.
Well, we really can't thank you enough for your time, and if there's ever anything you need us to promote, you know how to reach me, and I'd be more than happy to help you out the best I can.
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed, doing the interview. I apologize that it just took so long to do.
Not a problem. I understand that you're WWE employed, and that means you're very, very busy.
To say the least.
Yeah, I believe me, I know. Thank you very much, and stay tuned for more from the interactive interview.
Hey everyone, it's Alicia too, and you are listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio.
We just finished up, I just finished up with Al Snow. We're back here with the co-host of the show, James, of course, and of course my partner, Daniel. Daniel.
Hello.
How you doing?
I am feeling on top of the world. I'm not funny yet, but I'm feeling...
Okay.
You may be able to tell my voice. Yeah, my voice is slightly strained at the moment. I don't even know why. But for some reason, whenever I try and put any actual effort into what I'm saying, my voice just comes off sounding kind of dull empty.
Did you scream at somebody?
Screamed at many people over the weekend, yeah. But it's been like ever since. So that's, you know.
Why were you screaming? Who were you screaming? Of course, you had the IPW show this past Sunday. What were you screaming about?
I was just screaming about things and stuff. We want to thank everybody who came to the show, but one thing, next time, please make a bit more noise. If anybody's listening who came to the show, make a tiny bit more noise next time.
Well, were they not into it?
Well, they were into it because you could tell by their face, you know, the look on their face and stuff. But they just were a quiet crowd, should we say.
Like the Japanese crowds.
No, not like that. Japanese crowds are quiet. It's a good thing. My crowd was quiet. It was a bad thing.
You wanted them to be
80 people more than last time. So.
Well, let me ask you this. Who did you have doing ring announcing?
A lovely chap called Richard Young. He's a really good ring announcer.
Now, did he not do the thing where, okay, we're starting the show in a couple seconds, let me hear you make some noise? Things like that.
He did kind of things like that, but we tried to not go quiet and then that cheesy, because other people do it where they go, let's clap your hands with 10 minutes to go or something. So, and they call out 10 minutes gone, let's clap, 10 minutes gone, round of applause.
Mm.
But, yeah, so.
Well, what you got to do is you got to get somebody that can handle a crowd and be funny. People like to laugh at these things to keep them in a good mood and keep them lively. And I think if you spoke to David Penzer, who was a former guest on the show, he would tell you that a lot of the times that he was the MC for WCW Nitro and Thunder and such, he was just, telling stupid jokes at the crowd. And he knew they weren't funny, but some of the crowd found them funny.
Oh, that's so much like Colt Cabana on my first show.
Right.
It was very funny, yeah.
And how lively was the crowd?
The first show?
Yeah.
He was slightly louder. It wasn't that much louder. He was funny, but the crowd didn't really seem to care. It was almost if the crowd just kind of wanted to be there, but not have to,
Right.
if they were there.
Right. So since our last show, of course, there has been Survivor Series. Of course, we put that show up after the Survivor Series, but we did a Survivor Series preview, which obviously we recorded before the Survivor Series, which would make sense. So now that it's past Survivor Series, why don't we give that a go, and I could say Survivor Series a couple more times.
Okay, so if we survive the Survivor Series, and then it's part of our...
Then it will be the 18th in the series of Survivor Series is that we survived.
We survived, and John Cena.
John Cena's, he returned, of course, and they now he's again the U.S. champion, defeating Carlo Caribbean Cool, who's obviously was injured on SmackDown. Yeah. He was injured and unable to put on much of a match.
Yeah, it's a shame.
But he did. I give him credit for showing up to work and dropping the belt appropriately. And now it looks like they're going to continue the feud with whoever the hell his bodyguard is supposed to be.
Jesus Aguilera, a.k.a. Aaron Aguilera, a.k.a. the hardcore kid from such feds as Pro Wrestling Guerrilla in Southern California.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, is where Frankie Kazarian spends a lot of his time.
Yep, he just recently lost his PWG World title to Super Dragon.
Super Dragon? I've heard good things about Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. I haven't checked it out yet, though.
You definitely should.
I've heard it's good wrestling. My friend, who I trade tapes with all the time, said he's going to send me some PWG tapes, so I'll have to check those out. He gets everything. I mean, this guy gets indies, everything. I've seen ROH through him. And I'll just be frank with you about ROH. I like it for what it is, but the only thing about ROH I don't like is the arrogant fans. But I don't want to get into a big debate because I don't want to turn people off. But all I'm saying is, when these fans seem to just think that ROH is it's a revolution, and when you mention to them that they don't have TV or anything, that it's not really that big of a revolution if they don't have any kind of television in the United States, they say, oh, well, we don't want TV. Well, how are you going to be successful unless you have the biggest media exposure of our time, television, backing your product up? And I think that is the ultimate for a company. I mean, what is an indie fed? An organization that doesn't have TV. I mean, unless you get TV.
Just resolving backwards a second. Before you continue on with your rant, just saying that anybody who wants to see some PWG style action can, of course, head over to www.ipwuk.com, order the Extreme Measures 2004 DVD, which features Johnny Storm against the PWG World Champion, Super Dragon, a match, in fact, which is going to be taking place in PWG soon, I believe in December.
Oh, wow. So they're copying you, huh?
Yeah, basically. But it probably won't go as long as the match that they had. It was a nice 30-minute Iron Man match.
Iron Fist, wasn't it?
Iron Fist, yep.
Yeah, and then let's see, I wanted to point out to people that I just received 5 more copies of the Sting movie from the Stinger and, of course, his production company. So we're going to be giving away some of those copies, and stay tuned for details for that in the upcoming shows.
Excellent.
So, of course, this is going to be, the other contests have been UK only. These are going to be US only.
Yep.
And I'll even go US and Canada, since we love our friendly neighbors to the north. Well, my friendly neighbors to the north. But technically not yours. They're a bit of a distance away from you.
Yeah, not quite as northern as, not quite as close, should I say.
Yeah. You don't share a border with them.
No.
So Survivor Series, of course you should mention John Cena came back. Shelton Benjamin retained the Intercontinental title by defeating Christian.
That's my attempt at singing his name.
Okay. I can't even remember the matches. Lita just destroyed Trish Stratus, but in a non-title sort of way.
Yeah.
She didn't get the belt, but she destroyed her and broke her nose. There's a good sketch on Raw this week, by the way, with Vince McMahon and Trish Stratus mocking what became a big story last week in our news, which was a very suggestive opening to Monday Night Football, where a woman from the show Desperate Housewives, I don't even know her name, was pretty much naked under a towel. I mean, she wore a towel, so she was covered, talking to a professional football player on the on the Philadelphia Eagles, and she was being very suggestive about him being with her in the locker room instead of going out and playing the game. Now, the big controversy in the United States was, is this appropriate for Monday Night Football? And most people seem to think, nah, not really. But Vince did a sketch, which was pretty funny, involving Shelton Benjamin, Trish Stratus, and of course himself, where they mocked this scene, and it was funny. Vince had a couple good lines in there. Best line of the night was, well, Shelton, I don't think you realize this, but you're an African American. And I don't know, that struck me funny.
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard that Vince wrote that big one at 100%.
Yeah, it was pretty goofy. It's a goofy, like, little... It's like the vignettes thing that I talked about on the last show, where they can do things that are somewhat in character, but still be, cartoonish and funny. So I thought that was funny. I mean, it adds to it. I mean, like I said, Brock Lesnar F5ing a shark. Yeah, it's cheesy and goofy, but still, it's kind of funny to see. Things like that. It's like a cool little addition. And not many companies can get away with it but WWE. Because...
of course, also on Survivor Series, you had the match in which John Cena returns.
Mm-hmm.
The SmackDown Survivor Series matchup, and of course you had the Raw Survivor Series matchup.
Which was...
the good guys against the bad guys.
Which is pretty much what it was, yeah. It was Maven, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, and Randy Orton against Gene Snitsky, Triple H, Batista, and who else? Edge. There we go. I couldn't remember his name. That just tells you I'm a little out of it tonight. It was a good match. I think they booked it properly. I think it was a good idea to have the final two be Orton and Triple H. I mean, in reality, it was old school booked, but it worked. You know? I mean, they had the killer heel, and they had him lose by DQ instead of getting pinned, like Snitsky. And in, let's go back to 1990, for example, the Legion of Doom were the dominant tag team at the time. They didn't lose. They got DQ'd. You know, they do things wisely. They have ways of eliminating people without hurting their credibility. Unfortunately, that is a side effect of these matches, that I think it hurts their credibility, because sometimes a guy gets pinned with like a really cheesy move, just because it's an elimination match. So,
like
there was an example I saw in like 2000 that comes to mind, but I can't remember who it was.
I was thinking, was it last year that was it Bradshaw was in the World Series matchups, and he pretty much got eliminated in about 8 seconds.
By who?
I'm trying to think now. That may be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure last year there was someone in a Survivor Series matchup, and they could have kind of got straight in and eliminate that 8 seconds other than being tagged in. But I think it may have been Bradshaw delivering a clothesline from hell from someone, hitting someone, then getting straight up and getting hit by a move, getting pinned straight away.
Right.
That's what springs to mind. But naming of the people and what it was and stuff.
Now, Bradshaw was still babyface beer drinking Bradshaw a year ago, right?
Yeah.
So when did exactly the JBL character debut? Was that right after WrestleMania?
What was he doing at WrestleMania?
I don't think he was at WrestleMania.
I just think he was kind of there-ish. I think it was like April that started debuting.
Yeah, and the character really did well. I remember we talked about when it first came out and how everybody hated it. And most people have come around to it, I think. The internet still doesn't think he's the greatest worker, but that's because he doesn't do moonsaults. I mean, that's the biggest problem I have with the internet crowd, is that they don't seem to understand that some guys do certain things and some guys don't. Hogan doesn't do moonsaults. Hogan doesn't do Hurricane Ranas, but Rey Mysterio does. You know, cruiserweights do certain moves, heavyweights do certain moves, and of course, occasionally it's cool to see the heavyweight do something like that, but unfortunately, their bodies are not built like that, and that's what happened to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19, when he almost broke his neck doing the shooting star press to Kurt Angle.
And Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious, yeah, and that wasn't even really a big high spot. I mean, he was just going for a double axe handle from the middle rope, and wow. That just shows you that some of these guys, their bodies aren't built for that.
Although I did see today, for the first time I saw Dallas do the moonsault that he does.
Yeah.
Victory Road, that's right.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And once again, I want to say that Hector Garza is amazing.
Hector Garza what?
Hector Garza is amazing.
It is amazing? You like him?
Mm-hmm. That moonsault here, Victory Road, was fabulous.
Hector, yeah. The only thing that I'm a little bit confused about is why they gave him the win, unless he's going to stick around, and he hasn't been on Impact that I can recall. He may have been there, but I just don't remember him. To me, it would make sense to give something like that a big match, the first match of your 3-hour pay-per-view, to give the win to somebody that's been with the company for a while, like Michael Shane or Kazarian or somebody like that. Somebody that people have an emotional tie to. But I guess it kind of, you know, like you said, Hector Garza is impressive. I've known of him since his brief time in WCW when, if I'm not mistaken, he had a mullet in WCW. And,
He has got kind of a porno moustache at the moment. So.
What?
He has kind of got like a porno character type face, really.
Yeah.
He's like Dan Severn does porn.
I guess you could say that. I never really thought of those two together. Dan Severn didn't never do porn, did he?
I have no idea.
I'd hope not.
I'm so glad I can say that. I'm so glad I can say that. And another thing, I thought it was good to see. I mean, I hadn't seen much TNA recently. It was good to see Psychosis again, and it was good to see La Barca again.
Yep.
But I've seen obviously Gerald Clark, former guest on the show. He impressed me. Wasn't in for a long time, but you know, oh well. I don't like the look of that D-Ray 3000 chat. Could be, yeah, obviously a very good comedy tag team with Shoutboy, but not my cup of tea. Mikey Batts quite impressed me. Jason Cross bored me.
Jason Cross has no charisma, unfortunately. He's got good moves, but the only thing is he has AJ's exact look in terms of his ring attire, and that's something that TNA is going to have to really work on. In WWE, they would not put somebody in the ring that looked exactly like Steve Austin when Steve Austin was hot.
Oh.
That's partially what they said WCW was doing with Goldberg, because they wore the same ring attire. But they didn't, you know, that's just my idea. I think that they should make these guys, I mean, nobody should wear shorts and the kick pad shoes except AJ and TNA.
And one other chap that really impressed me. First time I've seen a hell of a lot of him. I've seen him in a couple of like music videos and stuff. But I mean, obviously there was just clips on one off, and you know, obviously you don't see a hell of a lot from one of the Battle Royals.
Right.
But I was quite impressed with Matt Sydal.
Yeah, and all the young guys in TNA, they have a spot. The Battle Royal was pretty cool, I think. It turned out pretty well. The fans reacted to it. I was surprised. I liked it. I thought it was cool. Did you see the whole Victory Road show?
I kind of skipped the tag title match.
Yeah,
everything up to the Piper's Pit segment.
Did you see the Piper's Pit segment?
I did.
Do you now understand what I said last show about how Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler are the greatest because they know when to shut up? Because you had Don West screaming the entire time. Shut up. Let the crowd react. And I don't know. I know Don's trying, but I just think they, you know, when we did the interview with Mike Tenay, he mentioned that he doesn't get fed any advice through his headset, that they just let him do what he wants to do. Maybe in situations like that, they should feed advice, if not to Mike, then to Don West.
Yeah.
Just, you know, stay quiet, let the crowd react, let the fans hear the crowd reaction, you know?
One thing I thought was good about that segment was it almost seemed that Piper was really quite mobile. Because, I don't know if it's just because he was in the ring with Jimmy Snuka, who is nowhere near mobile anymore.
Right.
But Piper really seemed quite mobile to me. It looked as if he ran across the ring a couple of times and, you know, moved about in a way that he hasn't moved about in years.
Yeah, and he had they did a little segment on the Best Damn Sports Show period, where Piper got into a fight with one of the hosts that was wearing a Wrestling is Fake shirt. So Piper was representing wrestling, and, you know, and I don't understand, you know, Piper, let's face it, he's not a kid anymore, but I don't understand why they have this guy, they bring him in, you know, put him in a feud. Put him in there with a young guy. Put him in there with, off the top of my head, Michael Shane, or somebody that has a future in the heavyweight division. You know?
Yeah.
That's my idea. Of course, they could put him in there with Raven because they started a story with him in '99 with in WCW, but they never finished it. So that would be interesting. But of course, Raven, as you mentioned in the last show, is now tied up with Diamond Dallas Page.
Please?
A new addition to TNA, which is, I'll be honest with you, and I've been rough on TNA since they got rid of the Wednesday pay-per-views. I'm one of the ones who told you I thought it was a bad move. I thoroughly enjoyed Impact this week. Now, the Internet didn't. And it's not that I'm trying to disagree with the Internet on everything, but they seem to think that that TNA is rehashing what WCW did. And to a degree, they're accurate on that. But I don't really see a problem with it. I mean, if what they were doing before then wasn't working, well, what worked in '96 WCW did work. So rehash it a little bit and give it a new twist. I think it's a good idea. I think it could work. I think it will work. It's just a matter of if they keep the key players as part of the company long enough. Example, if Randy Savage quits again, that's going to cause a big problem with the story. Or if Scott Hall falls off the wagon or something, they got to make sure these guys stay in line,
Yeah.
And that's a problem that TNA has to worry about that the WWE doesn't. Because WWE seems to have the incentive and the contract signed and everything that everybody's going to be where they have to be.
Something I read that was quite funny this week. I read that apparently the dog that's going to accompany Rene Dupree on SmackDown this week. It's called Ginger. It's a poodle, as is standard for Rene Dupree. It's called Ginger, and it was paid $350 for its services at SmackDown. And the tagline went straight after that, which was written by Dave Meltzer, I do believe, or someone from the Raw website, which was, Ginger got paid $350 for its appearance this week. That's more than half the TNA roster. And sitting there thinking about it, it probably is, not half the TNA roster, but I'd say probably easily half the guys that are on Impact.
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you that's true. We both know that I have had an inside source at TNA at one point, and I know that she got paid $200 per TNA appearance. So there you have it. A dog gets paid more, and and I guess I guess one dog gets paid more than another. One dog gets paid.
The dog gets paid more, and the one on SmackDown is better looking.
I'm gonna get sued. I'm so gonna get sued.
That's harsh.
I'm gonna get sued. I'm gonna call their lawyer on me now.
That's harsh.
They did it once before.
It was a joke, because it works. It was a joke.
I was told I was vindictive. Did I ever tell you the story where I got called by a lawyer?
No, you didn't.
I'll have to say that for off the air.
Oh, I think you did actually.
Yeah, I got called by a lawyer because I was being too vindictive of somebody.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so speaking of vindictive and speaking of Rene Dupree, if I read the story correctly, it sounded to me like he had a little incident with Bob Holly this week.
Did. On the SmackDown brand house show.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the full story, James?
I do not know the full story, but as I understand it, and I hope you have it to correct me where I'm wrong, they got into some kind of a real fight in the middle of a match, and Holly went pretty much bonkers and beat the living dog out of him.
Yeah, on the outside, I've seen pictures of it, nothing with the pause. On the outside, Bob Holly went ballistic on Rene Dupree. Now, the apparent reason for this is that Rene Dupree needed a ride somewhere in one of his arms. Bob Holly, being a nice chap to do, apparently, offered Rene his hire car. Rene said, thank you very much, used the hire car, left it somewhere where it would get a ticket. And then got a ticket, and he threw it away and just discarded it. This then, of course, got back round to to the person who owned the car, aka Bob Holly.
Right.
Apparently caused some issues and such with his insurance and whatnot. Obviously, it was slightly annoying, Mr. Holly.
Right, and that's why he went ballistic on him?
Exactly.
Now, how bad was he how bad did he beat up Renee?
You'll see his eye on SmackDown this week. So,
are they going to turn it into an angle?
I very much doubt it, because what they've done is they've punished Michael Holly for his actions, which of course included a fine, as you'd expect. And the other part of the punishment is that he had to lose a match for the SmackDown tapings. He had to lose in a dark match against an WWE trainee. So that's going to teach you, isn't it? You do that again and you'll lose, you will. Oh.
Well, this is not the first time that there's been a problem with Holly in terms of him beating somebody up. I think we all remember what he did to the kid on Tough Enough, and that was barbaric in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And, whatever. Some people... It's just a shame some people forget that wrestling's a work.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta take it easy. And if you have a problem with somebody, there's ways you can talk it out before you start throwing punches.
Anyhow, let's see how it's panned out. It'd be interesting to see if it continues. Or whether that's the last move.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll see. Everybody thought he was going to get the axe last time, so let's see if he gets it this time, especially with the WWE cutting as much talent as they've been cutting. I wouldn't be too surprised. I mean, I know Holly's been there for, 10 years now, maybe even more. So Vince might have a loyalty to him or like him that they kept him around that long, but,
people such as the Big Boss Man,
right?
Before he sadly passed away, Big Boss Man, back in January, they parted ways, himself and WWE, and most recently Billy Gunn,
right?
Another guy who's a long time parted ways, Pat Patterson, long time parted ways. So, loyalty may be counting for slightly less than they used to nowadays. Never know.
They might not have the loyalty they used to, is that what you said?
Yeah, they might not have the loyalty to their workers.
Well, yeah. Oh well.
Oh.
Well, that's kind of all you can say is oh well.
Oh well.
Yeah. So let's see, what else is going on in the wild world of wrestling?
The new ECW DVD coming out, they're pushing extremely hard.
It's already out in stores, and people got extremely excited when they saw that they were sold out in stores. But I happen to know how many copies were sent to each store. And the number of copies sent to each store was only 8. And traditionally they'd send about 20-something. So they really lowballed the expectations. And the reason that they're probably pushing it now is because now they're realizing, wow, this could sell real well. The only thing that I can say is, well, first of all, I hope it does sell well, because as long as they don't get revisionist with it and they actually tell the truth of why ECW lived and died, that's cool. I've not yet seen it. I'm going to see it, because I actually have interest in buying this one. The only thing I can really say for sure is they didn't expect it to sell as well as it has, and now that it has proven that it will sell, they're actually promoting it harder because they're thinking that they can sell more than they already have. They did a skit with it with Simon Dean, who's Nova, which I don't know, did they even mention the fact that he was in the ECW?
I'm not sure, I don't think.
I would assume they completely ignored it.
Yeah. I think, they haven't got him scheduled for any interview autograph signings and such. So.
No.
Because they haven't openly, admitted on WWE television that he was part of ECW, so.
Yeah, they're probably going to keep him separate. Plus, he wasn't a huge part, and he might not even be in there. I mean, they can easily make a best of ECW compilation without putting him on there. I mean, I love Nova, but still.
Another DVD that's supposed to be coming out quite soon. Best of Rob Van Dam. Now, I've read it in different places. One of them said it's one of a kind, which makes sense. One of a kind Rob Van Dam. Never really interested me in such. The other place said one of a king. So I'm guessing that's just a typo.
Yeah, that would probably be a typo since the D is 2 keys away from the F, from the G, I mean. So.
Are you saying that while looking at the computer, or you just,
I would just assume that somebody was typing and they typed one of a king instead. They're probably typing with one hand while they're looking at a Diva site.
One of a king.
One of a king! Hey! Hey!
It's like, or whatever's like close to the Y on the keyboard. They're like, hello, hey,
Right.
one of a king, hey, something different. Yep, so that's coming out early next year, apparently.
Well, yeah, so they put all those on pay-per-view the next month, so I usually catch them on there instead of buying it. The only reason I want this one is because of all the extra footage that you get of, like, it's 6 hours of ECW, ultimately, which I'd like to see, because I was there from the beginning. A lot of people don't know this, but I was an ECW fan. Yes, I was. And I was watching ECW before ECW was cool. I was an ECW fan from '94. The only difference is I always understood that it wasn't going to become the #1 wrestling company. I liked it for what it was, and what it was revolutionary.
Yeah.
But you just have to take things for what they are and not get arrogant about it, and that's what I was talking about with the Ring of Honor fans. There seems to be this thing in the Philadelphia water that makes them think that whatever they do is going to take over the world. I mean, look at their main event, and I'm trying to be 100% honest with this right here. The main event for their last show was Jushin Thunder Liger against the American Dragon. The American Dragon is a velocity jobber, and Jushin Thunder Liger, while a huge star in Japan, in the United States was only known for being a WCW opening card jobber. So basically their main event was a velocity quality main event. That's not going to take over the world. You know, and I respect Jushin Thunder Liger. I know I'm going to get hate mail for this. But, you know, this is America. And Ring of Honor seems to think that they're in Japan. They're not. You're in America. You got to work with the style that Americans know. And the fact is, Americans don't watch Japanese tapes. I mean, there's a percentage that do, but the most people that watch have watched WCW and WWE and ECW. That's pretty much it.
I disagree in that I think a lot of Ring of Honor fans may buy that just because everybody else has hyped it up. But Ring of Honor hyped it up. A few, you know, Japanese hardcore fans, hardcore Japanese fans, not hardcore the wrestling style, but hardcore as in, you know, long-term.
Long-term fans that like Japan, right?
They would have hyped it as well. Then they would have told their friends would have hyped it. We've actually, you know, the whole sort of hype builds about it. Because of that, people buy the DVD just to see it anyway. As it goes, I think Liger versus American Dragon would be quite a good match. Because American Dragon could have a good match with Nick Carpet.
Right, American Dragon is a great worker. He's a great worker. I think the only thing he needs to work on is his connection to the audience. Once he gets that down, he's going to be big time WWE instead of Velocity.
Have you seen Chris Hero work?
I've seen little bits of him. I've honestly not seen enough to judge him, but I've seen little bits of him. Why do you ask?
I was just wondering.
I've heard good things.
His fan connection and kind of interaction with the fans through matches and stuff. I think he's so good.
Well, there's so few that are that good at it. The ones that are good at it are the ones that become superstars. What'd you think of Raw this week?
I have not seen it, sir.
Did you read the results?
I did.
Well, it's kind of ruined it for you, then, now that you read the results, then.
Yeah.
The swerve at the end.
It's cool. Yeah, I saw that ending on WWE.com.
Mm. It's actually pretty cool, and it's going to be interesting because I thought that they saved Randy Orton for the last general manager before Bischoff comes back. But it looks like Jericho is going to be the last one. So I don't understand what Orton's going to do. I mean, you already know what's going to happen next week with the world title situation.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how they possibly get Triple H to win that.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard to do.
Interesting if we send it down to Batista and Triple H, the last two.
That could be. It very well may be. You think that maybe they really will have problems? Because eventually they're going to have to end Evolution. It's been going on for a year and a half, 2 years now, so that's eventually going to have to come to an end. I wouldn't rush it, but they could do something. And it's good to see that Maven has been cut back down to size. He got his one week main event, and it was probably the worst Raw that I've seen since I started watching since WrestleMania. So, I mean, I like Maven for what he is, but he's just not. He doesn't have it. He'd be a good Intercontinental Champion, but he's not a main eventer.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Hmm.
And just talking of, Maven, of course, he came through a Tough Enough system. Have you been watching Tough Enough on SmackDown?
Yes, I have. As I say that, only because I had the trainer on the show. I've absolutely been watching it. Yes, I have. No, honestly, I can't watch SmackDown. I really do try, and I watch about 20 minutes of it, and it's just, it doesn't capture my imagination. You know?
I honestly think you should stick with it this week for the Tough Enough segment.
Why, what happens?
I said too much.
Okay. Does it involve the guest on our show?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But I'm a Daniel Puder fan. So, apart from last week...
They'd be able to market him well, too. His last name is Puder?
Yep.
They can release pewter figures of him. You know what pewters are? It's like metal figurines. Maybe interested in it. Be a good marketing ploy.
But
get the Daniel Pewter figure. Sorry, go ahead.
Small downfall with Puder is that he is probably the worst out of a lot of the microphone.
Now, which one is this guy? Is he the guy with long hair?
He's the short white hair, shoot fighting chippy. Who went in with Angle.
Now, who was the guy with long blonde hair?
Daniel Rodimer.
What'd you say?
Daniel Rodimer.
And that guy didn't make it?
He got cut this week.
He did, okay. He was okay.
There's 4 guys left.
Right. Who was the first guy cut?
The first guy cut, I can't even remember.
Because Al Snow said he thought he was the best of the bunch. The first guy they cut.
Ryan Reeves. Justice Smith, I think his name. Mike Mizan and Daniel Puder.
Interesting.
So they're quite a wide range there, because Mike Mizan, Mr. Got prior TV experience and stuff. Ryan Reeves, probably the biggest guy. Justice Smith, token black guy. And Daniel Rodimer, the one who actually deserves to win.
Yep.
Daniel Rodimer, Daniel Puder.
Interesting. So it looks like they're building towards, what the hell is Armageddon for Survivor Series. For the SmackDown brand, I mean. Sorry.
Yeah,
they're building towards Armageddon for the SmackDown brand, and they're building towards, what the hell is it? New Year Revolution on the Raw brand. So that's going to be January 9th. I don't know when the Armageddon pay-per-view is. Don't really care. I'll watch it, but I'm just being honest with saying that I think that they need to rehaul the entire SmackDown brand from the foundation up. The talent is there. It's the set, it's the booking, it's everything. They just need to rehaul that entire show. You know, keep the talent because the talent is talented, but
the talent is talented.
Well, yeah, I like JBL and I like Orlando Jordan. I think he's a classic weasel heel character. I like what he did at Survivor Series by screwing Booker. I mean, the guy was right there. The ref was just about to hit 3, and then he pulled him out. And he didn't pull him, you know, he didn't drag him out like Flair does, like 2 miles an hour. He whipped him out, you know. It was cool. He was just fantastic that night. You wanted to see him get his ass kicked.
That's something I was going to say a second ago. You made me forget and made me remember. There's a best of Gene Snitsky DVD coming out.
Gene who?
Gene Snitsky.
He's had like 3 matches.
Yep, it's not coming out from the WWE.
Oh, who is it?
WXW.
Oh, okay.
Promotion. The chap she trained.
Interesting.
They're releasing the best of Gene Snitsky.
Interesting. It'll be good to see that because I've not seen anything he's done before that.
Yeah, talk about capitalizing on the superstar push.
Right. Well, it's wise too. I mean, it's not something that they're doing out of stupidity. It's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely.
Because people want to see it. I actually watched. Somebody sent me a tape of the best of OVW. And it has matches with Shelton Benjamin and Brock Lesnar and John Cena and Randy Orton before they were stars. And it's pretty cool to go back and watch that. The only thing I can say that's not positive about OVW from what I saw at Cornette should not NWA that of course the internet fans hate me for, but the NWA was simply small potatoes wrestling. And if you look at the way Jim Cornette books OVW, it's small potatoes wrestling. I mean, it just would not work with the production that the WWE has, with the expectations of fast-paced storylines that the WWE has. I mean, granted, it would probably be a refreshing change, but it would not work, especially for the fans that seem to be demanding it. They'd hate it as much as they hate what's going on now, if not more. It's just very, it's just not the fast-paced wrestling. Though I did see something on the news where that they're losing money because of their high production values. Their profits for this year have dropped 10% from what they were last year. And there's...
And Vince has given himself a raise.
Who said that?
I just read it on the internet. Apparently, in the subject, the tagline was WWE profits down. In his panic, Vince McMahon gives himself a raise. Yeah, we haven't earned as much as we did last year, but I think I've done a bit more work, so I'm going to pay myself a bit more.
Well, he owns the company. I mean, technically, he's probably getting all the profits anyway, so
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. They blamed high production value on the news that I was watching. They were saying that their production crew is expensive and it's cost a high amount of money to run as many shows as they do, namely to run SmackDown and Raw every week televised and at the high quality that people expect from it. I mean, way back when they'd film it all in 1 week. You know, they'd film one taping and that'd be 3 weeks of shows. But they can't do that anymore, especially with the internet and with everything being so much faster these days that, you know, you do that now, you're going to have everybody have spoilers ahead of time and you're going to hurt your ratings.
But yeah, funnily enough, TNA have just moved to a taping 2 weeks in one go.
Is that just this week because of Thanksgiving, or is that going to be every week?
I do believe it's every week. Because apparently it saves them $50,000 a show.
And plus, they probably can be able to bring more people in for the big shows.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, apparently they're doing the double tape in one go.
That's pretty interesting to do that. And like I said, I really hope that they do survive, because I was enthralled with the show. Between Diamond Dallas Page coming out and Diamond cutting Raven and giving Mark Mero, Johnny B. Bad, the win, I mean, I loved that because I want to see Mero succeed in TNA. I've always been a big fan of his. I want to see him succeed in TNA. And he was a really nice guy, too. We interviewed him on the show. You can go listen to that in the archives. He was just a really genuinely nice guy. What else was I going to say? Between seeing Red get thrown into the trailer just like Rey Mysterio was, I mean, yes, that's rehashing, but guess what? It works. Between the whole limo angle, I mean, Diamond Dallas Page's promo was great. Everything on that show last week was just so... I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm going too crazy over it because some of them don't like us. But the show was great. I really thought it was a fantastic show, and the internet just hated it. Maybe it's because they're putting Alex Shelley as a jobber. Because I know they hate that.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, I think there should be more competitive matches, if you see what I mean, on the show. Because they've got to give a good taster of the product. And having Abyss come out and squash someone, or Jarrett come out and squash someone, isn't really giving a very good taster of what it would be like on the 3-hour pay-per-views. Because people may think, well, I'm not going to go and buy 3 hours of this.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. The only thing is that there are stars and there aren't stars. I mean, if Jarrett's going to go in there and wrestle Mickey Blue Eyes or whatever the hell he wrestled and just destroy him, I mean, why should they have a match where they have the other guy get spots in? The guy probably is just a job guy. He's not really trained all that well. And in the WWE, when they started thinking, well, we can give the job guy spots to make the matches interesting, a lot of the stars were getting hurt because the job guys hurt them. I mean...
I'm not saying give the job guys spots. I'm saying build different types of matches. Like, instead of having Jeff Jarrett versus Bucky Buckerson,
right,
or whatever, have Jeff Jarrett against, like... I was giving you a pretty bad example there, I say, because they're a terrible example, in fact, because they're both heels.
right.
Have Jeff Jarrett against LA Park.
Right.
For an example.
Well, they can have an okay match. They don't have to put a 5-star match on. But
Exactly.
yeah, it'd be interesting to see them do something like that. I actually like the return of the job match because not every match... I mean, one of the things that I got into a discussion with somebody else is they were asking me, well, what do you think of job matches? And I think, well, some teams aren't as good as others. I mean, I'm sure there's some soccer games where the team wins 8-0. Or one team wins 8-0. There's just some football games where the football team wins 49-3. Not everybody is on the same level, and sometimes some guys get beat. I mean, I think it's good to see things like that happen as long as you're able to define who's the stars and who's not the star. As long as you can, as long as the fans understand, just as you said, that Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy is not going to be a jobber match. As long as they can understand, well, Jarrett just beat this guy in 2 minutes and the other guy didn't really get much offense in, but I know Hardy will, as long as they know that.
Yeah.
But if they don't do a good job of telling that, then you're right. But I think it's good that they're going slower paced, because it's hard to keep everything fresh when all you do every week is the same matches. And unfortunately, Batista and Jericho, having wrestled about 6,000 times already, it's, Jim Ross tried to sell it like, what a match, but we just saw that on a pay-per-view 2 months ago, and on Raw before that. I mean, we've seen it already. You gotta You got to put somebody new in there and keep the matches with, say, Jarrett and Hardy, for example. Save that for the pay-per-view. You shouldn't see them wrestle until the pay-per-view. And I think that's why they kind of pushing the job matches.
I understand. I get it to an extent.
Unfortunately, and their roster isn't deep enough to do top quality matches with everybody every week like Raw is. But
yeah.
I do think that the show was interesting this week. Shane Douglas is doing a fantastic job as a interviewer too. His reactions at the end of every interview are just, I don't know why, but they strike me so funny. Like, the guy will say something that's like really out there, and Shane will stand there looking at them like they're crazy as they walk off. I don't know why, but I just always laugh at that. Okay.
Yeah. So victory for the first time, and I believe that as soon as we finish this, I will go and finish it off. So, next time I'll let you know what I thought of the second half.
Oh, what? Victory Road?
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I really like the ending. I think you're going to like it too. The ladder match is good. I think you'll like the one spot where the ladder lands on Hall. It looks like it kills him, but it apparently didn't hurt him that badly because he was got right up. But it's just a really well done pay-per-view, and I hope that they can do it again for Turning Point, which I've just designed most of the cover for. I make all the covers for my tapes when I tape them, and for whatever reason I just got into this idea that I'm going to design the cover for Turning Point. So I sat down the other night and designed it. Okay, so why don't we close out with a mini version of the Headbangers Ball. We did Headbangers Ball about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than that, on the second edition of the Trinity interview, and we're going to do it now. We're just going to play 2 songs this time instead of the 4 songs of last time, and they're both going to be by the same band who I saw in concert last week. Of course, the concert I went to go see was Tesla and the Scorpions. Funny little tidbit is Jeff Keith, who's the lead singer of Tesla, did a spinneroonie on stage. That was pretty interesting. But we're going to do a Headbangers Ball, playing 2 songs of the new Scorpions album. How about we play Deep and Dark and Someday Is Now.
Thanks for hanging in there and listening to our entire broadcast. If you liked what you heard, check out our entire catalog. You can subscribe to our channel and check out our archives here on YouTube, as well as on WrestlingEpicenter.com. We appreciate you and want to thank you for tuning in. Watch out for flying chairs.
This is Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Oh, for us.
Featuring the interactive interview.
Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Oh, yeah.
Formerly The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze rock.
You're a maniac, so what you gonna do when a Blaze of Maniac runs wild on you?
On WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And now we shamelessly name drop from our history.
The Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
All right, everybody. Viva la raza. Viva la raza.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, ladies.
Hey guys, we had a lovely conversation. First lady, absolutely. Oh, look at me. She's so kooky.
Be there. Where else?
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Oh my God, you win! Wow, being interactive.
Whoa! I just got some listen. I was not shooting. Yeah, I almost pissed my pants. Breaking neck. I got 2 words for you. I've heard a lot about you guys. But here, let's go. I see my language. You're going to go to the shop. Don't be a no. Into the many.
No nerves.
That was great. It's going to be cool. Woo! What it's all about. The purest point of the living legend. Rock and roll. Arrogant.
You're listening to me.
Instead of saying when I'm talking to you.
So lonely without you.
Yeah.
In the land of extreme.
That's the the five. Nevermore. Interactive. Interview. I'm not just the best. Interactive. Interview with a plastic.
You earned the right.
Nobody. You better keep listening. Thank you very much. Controversy creates cash. Professional wrestling.
Made in the USA, baby.
Memphis wrestling. The guy on fire. I'm not
We were sexy.
What a show.
One and only.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Interactive interview. We took care of the business. This isn't ballet. We are huge. You're where it's at. You better recognize who's the best. Make sure you tune in each and every week. I'll come out of your computer. Knock down your door and turn it on for you. Or else I'm going to kick your stinking teeth in. And that's the bottom line.
Have a nice day.
It's showtime!
Don't forget to like and subscribe.